LT, how are you?
Not too bad, Tom. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Just full of anxiety and dread most of the time, but
Because you're not catching enough walleyes, right?
Otherwise, not bad. More bullheads than walleyes this year. Not for you though, huh?
No, the last time I went out, Johnny Candle and I caught a ton of smallmouth bass up on Lake Sakakawea. A lot of them. We figured we should account. We think somewhere between 120 and 140 in about a day and a half.
Good grief. All right, how long you been up in Bismarck now? Since 1989?
I started in 1989, but then I had a little bit of a gap there that you and I know very well because we worked together in the middle of that gap. And if you want to feel old, you want to feel old today?
No.
27 years ago when we first worked together.
When we worked together?
Yep. And then when that ended, I came back to Bismarck. And so basically I started here in 1989.
And happy birthday last week, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I looked at your little I'm Lee Timmerman, hi, hello thing, and it said you wanted to be a farmer if you weren't doing what you're doing. Is that true?
Very much true. Oldest boy of a farm family and the first grandson of a farmer. So if I wasn't doing something with my dad, I was working or helping my grandpa. And grandpa's place now is in Sioux Falls. It's the corner of the T. Ellis Road and 41st Street. So there's not much farming going on there anymore. And then my dad and my mom's place was just outside of T. I went to high school in Lenox. T didn't have a high school then.
All right, there are some things going on up in Bismarck. One thing that's not though, what is the McQuade's Softball Tournament? This is one of the biggest events of the year in North Dakota, isn't it? And it was supposed to be this past weekend, I think, but got canceled. Tell us about what happened with McQuade's this year.
Yeah, the Sam McQuade Sr. Charity Budweiser Softball Tournament would have had its 45th this past weekend, as you said. Yesterday would have been, whereas we record this on a Monday, yesterday would have been championship day. Last year, I think there was 464 teams.
Yeah. It's
the largest single weekend sanctioned slow pitch softball tournament in the world. And the reason they do it is to raise money for charity. If I remember the number right, I think it was $146,000 they made for charity last year. But they just, with the fact when you have that many teams, that many umpires, that many fans coming from all across the country into one spot in Bismarck, that's the part in today's COVID world that really makes things difficult to try to accomplish. And so they made the call to pull the plug on it and start working on next year.
Yeah, and I saw the teams had some options. If you wanted to just donate your entry fee, you could still do that and things like that. But all right, so
I'll say the U.S. Patriots, which were formerly known as the Wounded Warriors, they were going to be here this weekend. Well, on Thursday of last week, they played a fundraising doubleheader because the Larks weren't playing here in town. And so that was one of the ways that they helped raise money.
All right, but speaking of the Larks, what is the Northwoods League? This has been going on, I think, in Bismarck for years and years, right? But what is the Northwoods League, and are they playing this summer in some fashion?
Oh, there's the key thing there, in some fashion. Yeah, the Northwoods League is a summer collegiate woodbat league. It's been around forever. This is the 4th season in Bismarck for the Larks. Okay. But in order to pull this off, John Bollinger and his staff, John Bollinger is the general manager, he came up with the idea of the pod thing. You're seeing it more and more across the country now, but I don't know of anyone before John figured it out. Well, the Northwoods League has a team in Thunder Bay. Borders closed. Obviously, you can't play. Teams from Canada can't come to the U.S. So he and friends obviously took the team from Canada, moved them to Mandan, rebranded them the Mandan Flicker Tails for this summer. And then since the other woodbat leagues, or a lot of them, closed, the Cape Cod League, the Bismarck Larks team and Will Flint, their head coach, recruited more players and made 2 Bismarck teams. So we have the Bismarck Bull Moose now, the Bismarck Larks, and the Mandan Flicker Tails, i.e. the Thunder Bay team. And the reason that the state jumped in on it and all the CDC guidelines and everything of that, because again, they're not traveling. Those 3 teams are playing 72 games in Bismarck this summer. And so I applaud John for being aggressive and and going out and making something happen when the rest of the country was going like, what are we going to do? He found a way to get it done. And now some other leagues are kind of following that footprint a little bit.
But the lack of travel is one of the factors that allows them to do this. And 3 teams, 2 towns, 1 title, I think, is their marketing pitch right now. But in any other normal year, there'd be, what, 27 teams in the Northwoods League?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
It's
yeah,
a
in a
huge
bunch
league
of
in
divisions,
Minnesota,
spread all over the country. I mean,
Okay.
the West teams don't even play the East teams normally because the league is so big.
And this is good college level baseball, right?
Very good. These guys can recruit however they want, but you go from good junior college players all the way up to D1 players. The Flicker Tails team in Bismarck, Mandan, I guess I should call them Mandan, they have 23 Division I players out of a 28-man roster. So, I mean, there's talent galore. It's a blast to watch. They're getting wood bat experience, and these college kids are just out playing, trying to get better.
At least that's going on. That's awesome.
That
Another thing that you brought up is coming up this weekend. Haven't been a lot of rodeos since like the middle of March, April, May. Most of them just got cleaned out, all the PRCA stuff. There's some starting to come back now, and Mandan Rodeo Days is this weekend, right?
Yeah, Mandan Rodeo Days is one of the kingpin, if you will, events that go around the holiday in this part of the country. The thing that I like about it is I like the history part of it. 1879 was the first year that Mandan Rodeo Days started. And it started with horsemanship / rodeo and baseball, believe it or not, back in the 1800s. 2 of the main events that are happening this weekend are the rodeo, as you mentioned, and the Bismarck Governors and the Mandan Chiefs play baseball. And so those 2 main events, there's a lot of other things that is not happening. Parades aren't happening, things of that nature. But the 2 core items in Mandan Rodeo Days that have been around forever, they're being played. In fact, the one thing I like about Mandan Rodeo Days is I think it was in Arizona, there was a rodeo that actually trademarked oldest rodeo of some form or fashion. So Mandan Rodeo Days a while back, their catchphrase was, "We're older than the oldest," because it's been around since 1879.
140 some years, right, for men.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Good luck with that haircut coming up later this week. You need it.
Yeah, getting long, isn't it?
Yeah, shaggy. All right, take care. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Tom.